we're a very small community in terms of maritime law in New Zealand, and so there were people who travelled down from Auckland to listen to the lectures as well, and it was a really great event for us in New Zealand to have a group of experts, not just for the two keynote speakers, but also for the people who attended the conference. Well, I think it was really good for the students. They still talk about it in the seminar from time to time, give examples of what was spoken about at the conference. And I think for them being able to see some international experts in maritime law in person, which I think is important, not just having a person appear via Skype or some other recorded form, but to actually be there in the room and able to talk with the students afterwards was really good. The papers were delivered by the participants at the workshop, and during that day we were able to discuss them with some New Zealand maritime law experts who had come from around New Zealand to help discuss the papers, and also with the international experts. So we had really good exchanges, for example, between the professors from Japan and from China, who were able to contrast the different way they were reforming their law. Really interesting exchanges from the participant from Taiwan and from China about the different international law perspectives of those two jurisdictions. And examples where people from a common law background like New Zealand or Hong Kong, Australia, were asking how maritime law proceedings would work in a civil law country like China or Japan. The interesting thing about the reform of Chinese maritime law is that they're going through a codified civil system as opposed to our common law system, and so the approach is quite different to law reform, and also the approach to the use of international conventions was quite different. So whereas New Zealand might look to take an entire international maritime convention and put it into a statute, China might choose bits and pieces of different conventions it liked as bits of model law to take on board, as opposed to one full package, which is the way we're used to seeing private maritime law. Professor Ringbom is an expert in international maritime regulation, and he is formerly a very senior lawyer in the European Maritime Safety Agency down in Lisbon, which is when I first met him when I was a doctoral student. So he wrote a very important book on the EU's approach to international maritime regulation, and having him at the conference was a great plus for me, because I've long admired his work, and he gave a very good talk on the lessons the EU could give to the Asia Pacific region when it comes to regional cooperation in maritime affairs. So the Law Foundation support is really important because they're great to work with, because they are used to legal research and they know us personally. They come and visit us at the law school, and when it comes to arranging conferences, they've been a really good ongoing supporter of the university's work, and they give us access to a pool of funding that we wouldn't otherwise be able to get these people across from overseas with. So they understand our needs as a law school in a way that other funders don't.